I've just been listening to a couple of minutes all about the C word. Yeah. And changing attitudes to it.
All right.
Which,
like trying to making an effort to individually change how we feel about it, or how it's in society already changing, or
a document of how the attitudes to the word are changing, mostly in America. It's it's strange that even in the UK there are variances in acceptability, and everything is context. That's the real C word, Brendan.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Sure.
The whole time I was trying to think of a funny different word to be when we're talking about cash, right? Or we're talking about cats, or I don't know, cat.
Serving cats. Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it's a different word for a cat. Well, yeah. That's a stretch.
I see where you were stretching, though. I see where you were stretching. Before I go off on one,
sure, yeah.
What would you like to bring to the party? Hello, Brendan.
Hello. I had an excellent weekend. Holy fuck, dude.
Tell me all.
Full of repeated blissful experiences and brand new blissful experiences.
Oh, so you got an RBE and a BNBE. That's wonderful. That's what you want.
I don't know what the BE is.
BNBE, brand new blissful experience.
Oh, okay. You're truncating what I said.
Yeah.
So
it was less a yes and more of a
So I did take a high dose of psychedelics last weekend, and I am still kind of feeling a little out of this world.
Ooh.
Not super quite. Not that I'm always with it, but I'm just feeling a little glossy headed.
A little glossy. Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Wonderfully. Man. Okay, so went back to Darkenshrub and took another 5-gram dose of psilocybin mushrooms. This time, I tried a new brewing method. Instead of boiling hot tea, to steep the psilocybe out of the mushroom. I did a cold brew method. It's called Lemon Tech, TEK, and it's you use either lemon and or lime juice. I use both juice to use the citric acid to extract the psilocybe, and it does two things. It extracts it and it pre-digests it in a way that your stomach acid normally would. And when your stomach acid does it, it causes nausea. But when the citric acid does it, it causes less nausea.
I am delighted to hear that.
Yeah. And dude, it tastes so fucking good. I would just drink this as a drink, like if it didn't get me high. It is. Okay. So what I did, so I made it. I just had the ground down mushrooms. I had dried mushrooms, blended them up so that they were super fine powder. Poured in lemon and lime juice for my dose. Let that sit for 20 minutes, and then I added that to like a solo cup of fresh seltzer water from my soda stream that I brought with me camping.
I was going to ask about the carbonation.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. It was so good. It was so good. And so I was back in this bathtub on the river by the trees in the forest with the birds and the bugs and everything. And this time there's since the last time I've been there, they've added 2 new tubs, and one of them is like right down on the water. And so I was in that new one. And so it kind of looked like the water from the tub and the water from the river were one and the same if I was just kind of like glossing my eyes over. And so I just felt like I was in this rushing river, but it was hot and still and like, oh my God. And that's like I'm not even high yet. It was just bliss. so part of me wanted, I wanted that the intention I was taking into this was to ponder more on the Christian God and Christianity and all that kind of like what are the mischievous mushrooms have to say about this theology. And it not a lot. It was just like, I mean, more or less everything is everything. Like that's just another name for, it's a way of understanding this greater truth that you can't understand. And the biggest picture really was just like that we're not separate. We're all one thing. We're all one organism. The fact that you and I are across an ocean, like that's so insignificant that like our egos think of it as a big distance, because on Earth in our realities, it is a big distance. It takes a long time to get to each other and whatever. But like in terms of like we're all breathing the same air. We're all eating the same dirt. We're all from this earth. We're all from this universe.
I am he as you are he, as you are me, and we are all together.
Exactly that.
See how they run like pigs from a gun. See how they fly. Yeah,
that as well. Yeah, and I had this notion of like, because like logically, because there's two, that implies that there was one, and so you can only get you can only get two from individual ones, and so that necessitates that two is one. And I don't know, it made a lot of sense when I was high. Yeah, I don't know. At times I thought about like, why do I have a meeting set up with my pastor to talk about God when like it doesn't matter. Like I'm not worried about an afterlife. I know it's good to be good for goodness sake. Like I don't need
for Christ's sake. Does that reference in that voice? Does that reference ring a bell?
Yeah. Bare Naked Ladies Live. Yeah. I can't remember what I was like.
Have a fruit roll-up. Oh, for Christ's sake!
For Christ's sakes! Yeah. And so that was one part of the excellentness of the Darkenshrub trip. That was all. And I didn't write. I thought I brought my journal, and I thought I would write some more, musings and mush rants.
The idea,
but it didn't come up.
That it would be possible to write how high I was.
Yeah.
The thought of writing, like with a pen.
Yes, hand by hand.
I can't, because it would have been huge. It would have felt like scrawling on massive stone tablets. My sense of perception was so buggered.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I took double that dose.
Yeah,
and,
you did. Big boy.
Big boy. I did get a little sunburn because it was a different tub location. I didn't really notice how there wasn't as much shade cover, and I brought an umbrella that I had set up and was covering me mostly, but through my trip I couldn't feel my body at all. Plus I was in this hot tub, so my body was already hot all over, and so like I didn't notice when things were kind of burning a little bit, so my belly got a little burned, but I'm fine. So there's also two other really amazing parts of this little trip.
Remember you fell over. I just remembered that you fell over when we were high.
Did I fall over?
Yeah, you fell in a ditch, and then you did your ankle in.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did some damage to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it so silly? It's also so silly.
It's also silly.
It really is. It's all just so silly. Don't worry, be happy. I worry. It's silly. Like why? Like everything is happening exactly as it should. Worry. I noticed that worry is attachment to the future, to an idea of an outcome that you want in the future. It's not even real. It could become real. It might not become real. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was on this show that we talked about it, but I have talked about that that thought myself. And I was thinking of it, I think last year, in relation to doing my stand-up set, something about thinking about sort of being anxious about the future is being anxious about something that does not exist because the future does not exist.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are moments where I can sit with that, and there are other moments that I'm like, I'm too anxious to think like that right now.
Yeah. So it wasn't just me on this trip this time. Margaret came for the whole time, as well as Cameron and Carl. So we had a nice little fun hangout and camp out in that whole thing. And Cameron DJ'd 2 sets, a 5-hour set on Saturday and a 3-hour set on Sunday. And they were so perfect. It was amazing. The 5-hour set starts with like kind of folk and sort of country-ish kind of relaxed tones kind of stuff. And it uses Avicii. Do you know Avicii, the DJ? Yeah.
I was exactly thinking of Wake Me Up.
I don't know.
No, it's not Wake Me Up. No, I think that was I think that was his popular not country song. But yeah, Brother.
Levels. Yeah, Brother. Yeah. That was one that was played. Yeah, Levels is his really popular not country song. But yeah, he used a few of those from that country half album to transition thus and then into trance and then into progressive house and then ended with chill, and it was just so good, dude. Just made a big fire, cooked some dinner, fucking hung around in the hammock and danced, and it was so good. Yeah. How about you, mate? What's new with you?
Gosh, what about me? Since last we spoke.
Yes. You went to the podcast con.
Yeah, so I did the podcast thing. Got spotted in the first session I was in. No, second session I was in, which was all about it was some bullshit. And at the end of it, it was just some bullshit. At the end of it, a guy came up from across the room and he was like, "Are you Mark Steadman? Did you have the Big Minute newsletter?" And I was like, "Yes, I did.
Wow,
I really liked it. What happened?" I was, rather bashful, and that was lovely. And then later in the day, and I posted some bullshit from that session to LinkedIn, and then off the back of that, someone got in touch and like, "Oh, you're here, so I wanted to talk to you because I've seen your stuff for ages." And
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really, it was an interesting couple of days because, and I'm not going to rehash a bunch of stuff that we've talked about before, but it is very gratifying to know that there are people that you've written
impacted
something, whatever, and they've helped them in some way. It's also very cool that there are people you and I know or have known in the industry who are like, we're having a beer. And
that's cool.
I was sad that I couldn't spend longer having a beer with Ariel Nissenblatt, for example. But I met Lauren Purcell and a couple of others, and it was really interesting to note, see a couple of heads and oh no, we're not friends. Okay, I'm not gonna approach you because we are not friends. Thinking of Todd from
Cochrane,
for example. Yeah, we wouldn't be.
Don't need to talk to him.
Yeah.
No.
And he was directly in front of me, having a conversation. I was like, "That's Todd Cochrane," and wait, yep. But no, it was, and there's a few other people there and stuff, and that's lovely to know that people that I consider, for want of a better word, kind of pillars of the industry. Not everyone knows them, but they are, people I respect. I think that's
for sure
possibly what's more important. Actually, they are people I respect, and that's really cool. But none of it relates to any metric of what I would consider success, because I can't get comfortable. Success to me is being comfortable in that space, as in, earning a comfortable living, which I have not, and I have about £13 I think left before. Which is all in overdraft. Before the bank is no, that's you're deep into your overdraft, because I've had to chase over £1,000 worth of late overdue invoices today. Because, there are people who they're just like, paying is optional. Paying is like whenever I get to it, and like, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's just a piece of paper, isn't it? Like, I'm fine. I don't have to worry about money, so I don't know why he's worrying about money. And there was even a message today that was like, I sent this message saying, micro businesses, it's very difficult. It's a precarious cash flow situation right now to be a micro business. And I got a reply back, and it was like, and it was fine. It was nice and polite and understanding, but like there was some kind of tone that felt, and it was probably me as much as anything else reading into it, that was like, I know you worry about money. You know what I mean? It was like, I kind of read like here he is sort of, grubbing around for money again, or worrying about money, which, fine. Fuck you, pay me. Like, your invoice is over 23 days overdue. So, I'll worry about money. I'll worry about you paying what's owed. Anyway, I'm not frustrated about that at all. And so, but, walking around the back end of the second day, I started having some good ideas, and I was working them through with Chatty G about what I can do with Sounds Local and who I want to help. Potentially later down the line, where Undo might fold into that. So yeah, there's some ideas kind of kicking around and brewing that came out of just a couple of little pings that I got from being there, and it was nice to hang out. And then the next day I was filming, helping a client do some stuff. So yeah, I had 2 nights in London, a night in Brighton. Got back on the Saturday morning, early hours. Went to bed. Up the next day to then go and see a friend's show. Cool. So, a friend that I met through the stand-up course, who coincidentally used to make music videos for Misty's Big Adventure, my band that I loved and have some emotional connections with. Found that out on the night of our showcase, that he was the same Mark that I thought was this guy who used to make these films. And I lent him a bit of studio time here to do some stuff, and he presented a metric fuck ton of films that he'd made over the last few years in a big showcase, which had some on-stage elements as well, with actors doing stuff on stage, him in a giant chicken suit to which he was allergic.
Oh no.
It made me cry a little bit, because there was some emotional stuff in there, and it really got me thinking. It was really interesting so he filled out a 350-seater venue. Like, it was packed. Awesome. Every seat taken. And a certain percent, whether it was 25%, 50%, I don't know, were people who had helped him in some way make these films. That wasn't necessarily a contingent. Like, I asked for 3 tickets because I had a couple of friends that I thought would enjoy it. But then, there were other people who had helped with stuff, and I really felt that sense of how amazing it is that this guy has begged, borrowed, and stolen, or begged and borrowed anyway, whatever he can. He's pulled in favors. He's done all sorts of stuff to do this, and ask for no money. He didn't. He asked for donations on the night to a charity that was related to his mum, who died a couple of years back. But this wasn't a money make. Like, sure. I don't even know how this worked logistically, because he would have had to have hired the venue and all this stuff, so he would have lost so much money. But it was the thing that he wanted to do, and it just felt great to see that.
Amazing.
And it was emotional, and music is often, and especially if I have to sing, like, there's a bit of communal singing at the end, and that's often when I start to feel things, is when I express them, weirdly.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was a moment later where I was seeing a couple of people at the bar, and I was like, yeah, don't ask me anything about it, because I'll if I talk to you about it, I will start crying. But it was really great. Got back, I was tired in the evening, then had a massive second wind. Got back, watched a bunch of TV, didn't get to bed till sort of 2 again. Slept for 10 or 11 hours, got up, and then within a couple of hours, I had a memorial service to go to, or a celebration of life, for a gentleman that we talked about a few weeks ago who died very suddenly.
Yeah.
And so we went and celebrated the shit out of him on Sunday, and now I'm still just a little bit running on fumes.
Sounds like, I mean, you messaged me that you kind of had some feelings from the podcast festival, and it sounds like from your recap just now, upon reflection, it seems like it was a good trip, a good interaction, set of interactions, and it felt pretty good.
Yes, I can't remember where I was mentally when I texted you. And where I was physically, but yeah, I think it was funny. Like there was a session that was put on by one of our guests that we had on Bitrate, Mr. Dan Meisner.
Nice. How was that session?
Sorry.
How was that?
It was good. It was very, very industry, like very
yeah.
Like all about measurements and stuff, and I mainly went because it was Dan. And I asked a question. I was the first to ask a question, and he, he was like, "I think that's Mark Steadman." I'm like, "Yeah." Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, you are.
I got super grumpy with a guy on the Thursday when we went for drinks. So the podcast hosting company Captivate, who are based in the north of England, they, I don't know if it's every year, but this year and last year when I went, they ran an unofficial come round to this pub and we'll put some drinks on and stuff. Unofficial after party. And I'd gone to it last year and I went to it this year and couldn't stay for as long as I wanted. But we got sat down to this, I think, German fella. And we were talking about awards. Someone else was mentioning awards and they were complaining about some issues with some awards that I've submitted to, so that bodes well. But yeah, and the guy couldn't quite hear what we were saying, and so I was relaying it back to him. We were just talking about awards, and he was being sort of maybe 50% German, 50% autistic, saying, I don't see the point in awards. They're just, whatever validation. I was like, well, some people like to know that their peers appreciate their work. I didn't say that came out a bit snottier than I actually said it to him. So some people they like to hear that that people appreciate what they do, and that a member of a jury of their peers says that their work meets a bar or whatever. And he started going off on this new bollocks around podcasting 2.0, which is all Bitcoin blockchain bollocks. And there's some terminology that he used. If I want to, I just send them a boost, which is basically I take a bit of Bitcoin, like a tiny amount of Bitcoin, and I can press a button and they get some of the Bitcoin. And I was like, I'd reached, capacity of like, I can't really do, I can do easy conversations. Yeah. I can't do that one's a bit too, so I kind of shut down and I was like, if you want to, I can't remember what it said, like, if you want to cut down a tree or something, and kind of just, finished it.
Yeah.
Couple of beats. And he really took time, because I'm not sure he knew what I meant.
Sure.
He sort of took time, and I was just like, he wanted to have a discussion about it. I was like, no, it's cool. I'm like, I'm not going to debate you. Like, I bet Will, I'm now frustrated because I've reacted this way. But I it was that tricky thing. Like I've just got really spiky, and it's really because my own neurodivergence has hit its moment of, like I said, I can still do conversations, but they've got to be on easy mode. And that one where I've got to build a case and explain to you why this is a bad idea and you shouldn't be wasting your time with it. Like, I haven't got as we say, I haven't got the spoons for it.
And also, like, that's just their path. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And, it's like, I haven't sat down and really analysed it yet, but I'm sure there was a correct response there, which was maybe to just go, yeah, I guess. Like, so often that is actually the right response is, yeah, maybe you're right. Because just, yeah, maybe you're right. Because, like, what harm does it do? Makes them feel better.
That's a great way to get out of
it's just,
conversation.
Maybe you're right.
Because you're not admitting it, but also you're, allowing the possibility for it. And
because it's not important at that stage for one of us to be right. Maybe you're right. Yeah, it's. I think you've got to deliver it right, because I think if you pour too much pass ag on it, then it's like, okay, now we're gearing up for a conversation. But there is power in just saying, yeah, good point. Anyway, who wants a beer? And so it's not one of those that like really kept me awake at night, but it was like, of course, not how I would have wanted that interaction to have gone with that particular gentleman. I'm sure he was fine,
Sure.
But these are things that we've got to. I don't know. I don't know.
Me neither, man. Social interactions. No idea.
I have my company now has public liability insurance.
Great.
So if I'm running an event and someone hurts themselves, I guess they can't sue me. Well, they can, but then I guess I can pay for a defense. So, yeah.
So in construction here in America, I have it's a different situation. I have insurance and I have bonding. Ooh. So the bonding is what would pay out in terms if there was a lawsuit. Insurance is for like to cover if there's any damage to property.
Yeah, we have that. That can be added to a policy.
Gotcha.
And I think I've got
just have it all wrapped up in one
small amount of cover for objects, but it's more it's more the people.
Interesting.
I guess I mean, hopefully touch wood, I don't need to use it, but it was a requirement of the venue that I'm using, so there you go. As was a safeguarding document, a safeguarding policy, various other policies that I now feel equipped with.
Awesome. What is all that? What does all that cost? And is there any income coming in to cover those costs for? This is for the choir, I'm assuming.
Yes, it's for the So there was a cost of about £300 and something for the year for the events.
Okay.
Because that's 52 events a year. And there is money in the banana stand that is coming through from a web development project that I am undertaking for a writer. So, that is how it is being funded. It is being subsidised at the moment. And then, hopefully, because there is... we've maxed out the Eventbrite capacity. So, the events listing website. We've maxed out the capacity for the first event, which may mean that... maybe half of the in fact I got a message this morning saying, hey, there's no more tickets left for this one, should I come to the next one? I was like, come to this one, because it'll be a surprise if 50% of the people show up, because that's what people do, especially for free events, like almost exclusively for free events. Is people are interested, and then it becomes Friday evening, and then it's like, oh well, there's no stakes, I don't actually have to get out of my house. We will see. But someone that I know through the internet in Birmingham has offered help, like tangible help with stuff.
Awesome.
And is really and it's like straight away like, oh shit, I'm probably on the right path here.
Nice. Yes.
And Would you be interested in the idea that I was kicking around while I was in the last days of the conference?
Yeah, tell me.
Really, I was thinking about where I am now in terms of having a job, sort of maybe 1.5 jobs, and also wanting to run a community event. Also having, one of my obsessions, as I think we can understand, is not just building the thing, but actually telling people about the thing. Like, you've got to do it.
Yeah.
And how do you make people do what you want them to do, i.e. come to your thing? And so I'm kind of interested, like through a bit of through some thought of my own and through some chatting GPT, coming up with a nice sort of idea of a free toolkit for people who want to run community events but are knackered and need quick, short, actionable, actionable, one of those words, but quick, short advice of like, if I've got 5 minutes, what can I do? If I've got half an hour, what can I do? If I've got an hour, what can I do? And just like very clear, write this post, or download this template and fill it in, make this image, post it here, those sorts of things, so that people can kind of run the stuff on rails and not worry too much, and focus on doing the thing, but also focus on the rest of life, which is also where, to a degree, Undo kind of comes in, which is like, how do we help people with time management who want to do things out in the real world or want to do things to, save the world kind of thing.
So this would be like a product you would put out for anybody to be able to
it would be sort of delivered. I don't know how I'll deliver it yet. I'm not worrying too much about, the actual mechanism, but it would be a free product that you access with an email address. I mean,
sure,
I've done it on Notion before, but like it's got to be super simple. And then basically it is a calling card to say, if you want to book me in for like a day or a half day or whatever to help you, maybe you've got to a certain stage and you want to do a little bit more, then like I'm pretty good at like figuring out how to make content, and schedule it and make time for it and stuff. So, do you want to book me to help you with that?
Nice.
Which obviously is a paid service.
Obviously. Love it.
So yeah, it feels nice. It feels like it makes sense.
As I would assume it's kind of it seems like a pretty niche target audience.
It is niche, which is great, but there's a lot of people who like want to run, like whether it's like a quiz night or a sewing circle, for example, there's a sort of a craft circle that meets at the cafe that I often sit and work in, and they meet every couple of weeks, and they make stuff. They make little kids' toys for kids that are ill in hospital. Like, I think, from what I understand, I've only really overheard stuff, and I think it's like knitting and making little things, little like dolls and stuff for kids who are critically ill in hospital. And it's other choirs, and it's music groups and walking groups and men's groups, and like lots of those kinds of things happen all over the UK, and I would imagine abroad too.
Probably.
And so it's niche as hell, but also fuck of a lot of them.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
So it's just figuring out where to, I'll once I've got the first sort of block of stuff done, figure out how to get it in front of people. But yeah, like it's on the list. There's lots of other things to contend with at the moment. But it's on the list. That was the tiredness in my voice.
Yeah, I hear it and I feel it, man. You just made me think about my post-it notes. I haven't really looked at them in a while, but also I've been away, so it makes it feel like longer because I physically haven't even been home. But it's still been a good system for me. I definitely still check it, and helps me stay focused on the things that I have told myself in the recent past that I want to do. Yeah, I like it. It's better than, I mean, I still use a digital list. I still use like the Notes app for checklists and stuff a lot, and that helps in a different way. And it's kind of hard to articulate for me exactly why it's that. Something, I guess it's like the physical permanence of it, or the presence. I don't know. That's good.
Yeah, I'm in the process, and it's going to be a slow, gradual process because I'm actually not so many areas for growth, Brendan. I'm growing in so many ways. Of moving my to-dos over to Notion, like slowly as they come up in my normal app things, and sort of moving them over, because I'm now using the Kanban board style because I find it a lot easier or just better to get a sense of, like, I don't believe, there is a philosophy in productivity that's like, things are either done or not done. No, they fucking aren't. Like, things are on hold, or they're in progress, or they're waiting on someone else. Like, things are not done or not done. Things are not done or not done. That makes no sense.
Everything is everything.
Things are not done or not done. Title.
Title for sure.
And so, I've got a list here that's like not started, in progress, on hold, and done. And like I'm doing it in Notion. I've got it all set up. There's automations up the wazoo. The list gets cleaned out after a while, so like I can see that stuff is sitting in done, because that is like, I don't want stuff to just necessarily poof off into existence. It's nice to be able to like look at a done pile and say, I've done those things. And then every day they get cleared out, and like there's other stuff, like I have my day book concept, which a new day book gets created every day. Or then like the next one gets created this evening, kind of thing. And I've still got stuff that I want to do there, but it's still tracking. The idea is it tracks things like wins, discoveries, and then trying to have some kind of a shutdown routine. Because I think, once I'm, if I actually sit and try and ground myself for a bit, those things will be very helpful. So there's, the setting up for the day, there's set some good intentions, 3 key things that I want to achieve that day. But then also at the end of the day, like, here's the shutdown, here's how you prepare for the next day, so that you can put the day to bed and go to sleep happy, kind of thing, or go to sleep at least relatively unburdened.
Yes. Yeah, you got to purge that shit out.
That's the dream. Yeah, that's the dream.
Another... mind if I had topic change?
Please. You don't have to. You can. I'm not your father.
No. No, you're not. Something that what you just said reminded me of another thought I had from my mushrooms trip this weekend, and also being on this camping trip. So there's two kind of veils that we put over our eyes that I noticed at the same time, and I just thought it was really interesting. So on the smaller scale, we're going out camping, and we're like, building a fire to cook our food. There's trees all around us. It's nature. It's natural. It's like, we don't need anything more than this. Like, we built this society to, and we built all these rules and all these things to like keep everybody in line and whatever. But like, most jobs are not essential. They're just there to move money around, which isn't real. It's a thing that we made up for barter, for trade. And we're just animals. Like, we're just beings here on this planet that can fend for ourselves. We work better in groups, and we that's great. But most of us, myself included, think society is real life, and we escape out to nature. But nature is real life, and we blind ourselves with how important we think our life in society is, our comforts, our gadgets, our whatever's, school, work. And it just struck me like how at peace and happy I was in nature, and how much I just wanted to just be there, find my food, make it myself. And we've talked about like the commune, living off grid and all that kind of stuff. Sounds so great, sounds so natural. And so that was one thought. And at the same time, I've had these mushroom trips where, and I think about this all the time. I can't fully comprehend, it's impossible to, but I can't fully comprehend if the mushrooms are actually telling me something, that it's like an external source of something new. I am getting a communication of some sort, either from the mushrooms, or it opens my mind so that I can communicate in a different way, and these ideas are coming to me, or if I am just accessing my subconscious and unconscious minds that are feeding me things that I didn't remember or whatever, but I have interacted with before. And, it's a little bit of like, doesn't matter, but also it's kind of interesting to think of like, where is this information coming from? And one thought that came to me, which I remember hearing from Alan Watts in a way that he would describe what reality is that it's a game. Like God is playing a game. Imagine being God, and you can create anything, you can do anything, you can it's just, everything, and eventually you probably get bored. You probably want to do something interesting. And what's interesting? Well, tension is interesting. Mystery is interesting. So what if I played a game where I forget that I'm playing a game and see how long it takes me to remember the game? And what if I split myself into a bunch of different versions of myself that are all little fragments, little pieces of myself, and they all have to figure it out in different times and different ways, and there's tension there because there's separateness, because I was one, but I pulled apart into two, and now there's tension because it's separate, it's interesting. And so the veil that I noticed was the game that we're playing. We don't know that we're playing this game where we've forgotten that we are everything, that we are all one entity, one being, one connected force. And we think that us being separate, like that this ego is its own separate being, is so vital and so important to us. It's so core to nearly every human's existence, is that I am my own self. I have to take care of myself. I am an individual. And yeah, so with that being the case, like I am playing a game as God, I am playing a game that I am separate, that I'm individual. And then as an individual, I'm playing a game that I'm not connected to nature, and I'm part of the society. And it feels like it's a game within a game. And then even in society, we play little games with ourselves, and we forget. I had examples for this, but I can't remember at the moment. But just like we play even smaller games with ourselves constantly. It's just little games just all the way down, and turtles all the way down.
You're so high right now, bro.
I'm still a little high.
Yeah, you're a little high. You said the same thing to me when we were in the van driving back, and I will say it to you too. You're a little high. And also, I now just lost the game.
Oh, sure. I did too.
Yeah.
I always do because of you. You're the only one that reminds me.
I'm also interested in the not the assertion, but the view of nature and society being separate. So to you see going into society as one thing and going into nature as a different thing.
I mean, in some ways, yeah, it's buildings versus trees, but
so that's what society means for you.
No, I mean that's just an example. I mean, I think I mean a little bit more like money and laws and
Sure.
kind of the bureaucracy structure of things.
Because now that's interesting. Because if we looked at tribes,
they'd have buildings, they'd have tents, they'd have yurts, and whatever, but
not laws in the same way that we have laws. They have there are codes of conduct and there are ways and those kind of things, and systems of value, but like not necessarily interest rates.
Exactly.
But they are society. They are societies.
Yes, for sure.
So I think that there doesn't have to be that. But that sort of complex. I am deliberately not wanting to use the word advanced society. I want to use the word like complicate or complex.
Yeah, complex, society. Complicated.
Yeah,
for sure.
And so, that's interesting.
I completely agree on your word choice of not using the word advanced. I feel the same way. Like, it's not advanced. It's just different. It's just complicated. Yeah.
There's a lot of it. And then the other thing,
and we use it in such self-destructive ways. Like, how is that advanced if we're hurting ourselves so much with it? Yeah. But what's the other thing?
Well, actually, a quick thingette on the side of that is one of the things I'm realizing about my relationship to technology now is very much augmentative. Like it may end up being a blog post at some point, but I'm interested in like even when it comes down to things like AI, because there's one of these Johnny Ive companies now is looking at making what will possibly turn out to be some sort of AI pendant, which you wear around your neck. And I'm like, cool, that's
not
great.
Me.
Well, you see and that's the thing. It's like you don't necessarily need the knee jerk, because these things can add to our lives. They don't like where I have a problem is using an AI companion as a surrogate or a substitute for friendship. There is tremendous utility in being able to speak to a thing to simulate you having a conversation or the back and forth or a sparring partner or even some words of comfort. But where we get into tricky situations is where it becomes an either or. It becomes technology or this thing. And it's like, for me, I want us to live in a world where we are not looking for replacements for the things in our lives. We can augment them. Like, let's not do stuff that we can't roll back, to go back to a sort of conversation we've been having for a couple of weeks. Like, my view is like, let's add more advancements and let's do those things, but let's not add anything that we can't roll back.
Yeah.
And then the tension is interesting. Is interesting in itself, because are you aware of the whole thing that if you lock people in a room with no stimulus and give them a buzzer to electrocute themselves, they'll electrocute themselves?
Yeah.
Like, we crave stimulus. Like, we need it. We need novelty, and we need input.
Well, okay. I mean, if we take that example, like I feel like there's a limited, or we're taking people who have that are getting lots of inputs in their everyday life, and then putting them in a scenario where they're not getting a lot of inputs, and so they want those inputs again. They want something because they're conditioned to wanting something. It might not necessarily mean that if they grew up without a lot of inputs that put them in that room, maybe they don't shock themselves, or they spend a lot of time in that room and deprogram themselves from needing a lot of inputs that they wouldn't necessarily need to shock themselves anymore. I agree that that is a fascinating study, and I just wonder about the broader takeaways that we can glean from that, being that we definitely need those inputs. It's like, sure, we need something sometime eventually. We don't want to just lay down forever.
No, but as long as society,
you know what I'm trying to say.
As long as society has been able to record itself, I think humanity has needed input. It's needed to read. As soon as we figured out that was something we could do, I think that is our brain. I guess I'm spitballing, but like we've got brains that are evolved to scan horizons and look for things, and look for berries and discern and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And scan the far off horizon and then to work with people and to not work in isolation, because part of this is the isolation as well. It's not just the lack of stimulus. Stimulus comes from other people as well, and we need that. And that's of value to us. And so like I don't think it's too healthy to sort of try and say that. Like, yes, I know what you mean, but one of the views that I tend to take when it comes to that sort of thing is it's like one can take the view that that is often very, very popular, is that our attention spans have decreased or whatever.
And our memories and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know about the memory. I that's not me being skeptical. I just don't know. Mm-hmm. But there is also, I think, a valid argument that actually says our attention spans have not decreased. We've got much better at holding people's attention and grabbing people's attention. So there is a lot more competition for our attention.
Sure.
And that's the thing. And yes, I also fully know that like the quick release dopamine of hunting for a TikTok video that's going to satisfy you. Like, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And funnily enough, one of the pieces that was so Mark, who made these films, he wrote all these films, and one of them was a bedside story. It was a granny grandmother telling her granddaughter stories. Like she had no more stories, no more books, so she had to make something up from the future. I think the conceit was their sort of Victorian, Victorian people, and there were three pieces, and the last one was the one that was they did it live on stage, and it was quite emotional. But the first one was about the magic. I can't remember what it was called, but like the magic box or something, where the box of light, people would stare into it and it would show them things. And it was, this girl had this magic box and it would show her things, but none of the things ever made her happy. But she thought one day, I'm going to look at one of these pictures and one of these pictures is going to make me feel happy. But it never did. And that was sort of the thing. Like the punchline or the button on that is just like, no, that's it. Like, it's bleak. There's no happy ending. It's just like, no. And then everybody had their own magic boxes that showed them light and things that they hoped would make them happy, and they never did. Now, good night.
It's a bit Black Mirror.
No bad.
And as always, calm down. We're all cosmically insignificant. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Go Hawks!